The market in NBA Infinite can be fairly confusing with all its pre-orders, graphs, different prices to sell your players, and price fluctuations. In this video though, I'm going to try and simplify that as much as possible, as well as giving you guys some tips and tricks in how to sell your players, buy players, and track the player prices over time. So whether you're a complete beginner or you know how the market works, hopefully you'll find some use within this video. So let's start off with the basics. Now this is the first screen that is going to show you on the market. You can filter players by their rating. You can also go onto their type, which I'll go into a little bit later, and also their price. You'll notice each player comes with their own graph, and this is basically their price over time. So this market works like the stock market. If, for example, there are loads of people selling Devin Booker and not a lot of people are actually buying him, his price will decline over time. However, if there is a high demand for that card, but not a lot of people are selling him, i.e. he is a rare card, then his price will increase. You'll notice his price has increased over the last day or so, and that's because he was added into a pool. Same with Jimmy Butler, his price has steadily increased. As you can see, they are now headlining in the Hoop draft. It's important to take note of this stuff, as new players will headline different drafts when it comes to the game, and that can definitely influence their price on the market. But a card that say declined in price is say LeBron James. You'll notice his card has declined in price, and that's probably because a lot of people are trying to sell this card, but not many people are actually purchasing the player itself. Now, why does that matter? Well, you can try and go ahead and work out exactly when is best to buy a player. For example, with LeBron James, it's probably best to buy him now because he is fairly cheap. Of course, his price will probably drop a little bit more than this. Whereas say Jimmy Butler, because his price is continuing to rise, it might not be the best time to pre-order him or buy him. You might want to wait until his price drops down a little bit later. However, there is no way of knowing whether a price is going to increase or decrease. As I said earlier, you can usually tell with the pools whether prices will increase or not, as shown by Jimmy Butler and Devin Booker. Also, buffs and nerfs can have a huge impact on a player's card, whether they get a price increase or not. You'll notice Jason Tatum had a massive rise in price when he had his buff sort of between the 19th of March all the way up to the 24th of March, and now he has steadily declined after that. So make sure you're keeping up to date with all of the news. I will try and have videos out when there are particularly big buffs and nerfs when it comes to this game. So now you've taken a look at all of those graphs, you've worked out whether you can actually go ahead and buy the player or whether it's a good time or not. You want to go ahead and hit buy, and this is where you can select how many players you want to purchase. So you'll notice underneath the amount, it will tell you exactly how many players you need to buy to get them up to a certain rank. This takes into account how many cards of the same player you actually have in your inventory at the moment. So say if I wanted to completely max out the Jason Tatum, I don't have a single one in my inventory, so I need to buy 64, and that will cost me 74.5 million coins. And of course, I don't have that, so I can't hit buy. However, if I were to purchase just once, I'd be able to hit buy, and that will straight away come into my inventory. However, certain cards aren't on the market, and some you have to pre-order. For example, Jimmy Butler is not on the market. You can see his market inventory is completely zero. This is because no one at the moment is selling this card, and with the pre-orders, you can go ahead and pick exactly what price you want to pre-order him at. So you could pick the lowest, which is 410k. You could even go all the way up to the max, which is 680k. How the pre-order system works is if I set it at 680k, whenever someone sells Jimmy Butler for 680k or below, I will then be able to get that card. And say, for example, if I put it on the lowest price, I'd have to wait for someone to sell it at 410k or below for me to even get that card. And it does work on a first come first serve basis. So say my friend also goes ahead and pre-orders this Jimmy Butler at 680k. I then do it an hour later. He will be in front of me in the queue of people pre-ordering that card, waiting for someone to actually go ahead and sell it. Because this market is player to player, you will need people to sell them at similar prices, but it is also all about that first come first serve queue. So that might mean you are left waiting days for you to actually get the card after you've gone ahead and pre-ordered it. Because once you go ahead and pre-order a card, it will ask you whether you want to confirm, and that will actually take the coins away from your balance until you actually receive that card. You can always go ahead and cancel the pre-order by pressing on my trades, then pre-order, and then going ahead and hitting cancel. This will give you your full gold refund back. However, if you wanted to go through with the pre-order, you'd have to wait until Jimmy Butler was on your account. Now, when it comes to selling players, you can see Aaron Gordon over here. I can go ahead and slide up the price or down the price depending on what I want to sell him for. If I sold him for 25,800 coins per one, you can see that price is not better than anyone else who is selling it. So he's probably not going to sell at this price. However, if I reduce it a little bit, you can see that percentage keeps going up and up and up until I put it at the lowest price, and that is the best price anyone is ever selling him at. So this means he is more likely to sell. However, it does mean I am making slightly less coins than if I were to say put them up at a slightly more competitive price. It is also really important you take a look at the fee rate, which is 15%. So whatever I sell him for, I will have 15% of that deducted to make up what I actually get. You can see my history over here. If you look at the top one, I sold Domantas Sabonis each for 300k. So that in total is 1.2 million coins because I sold 4 of them. However, that fee deducted was 180k. So I in total only earned 1,020,000 coins after that fee was deducted. It is a massive fee, so it does mean trying to make coins just by buying and selling cards on the market and trying to turn a profit fairly difficult. You might have to use the star-studded pool and other pools in order to make yourself coins in the long run by spending your diamonds, because it is very hard to make coins just by buying and selling cards just using the market itself because of that massive 15% tax. So hopefully I've covered all of the pre-order, the graphs, and buying and selling players. When it comes to filtering players, you can go ahead and actually really in-depthly search the players by different attributes. So you can see if we search up by speed, Damian Lillard is the quickest card in the game with 718 on his base stat. You can go ahead and scroll all the way down to say the person with the lowest speed, which is going to be that Brook Lopez at 250 speed. You can do that with every single attribute, and that means you could just basically buy a player based off of their attribute. You can also filter by player traits, so you can see total skill level and total moves level. So Ja Morant has the most moves and LeBron James has the most skill level. This, I believe, is how many skills you can actually go ahead and max out. So you can see LeBron James has 15 finishing all the way through to 9 defensive stats. You can go ahead and upgrade. Of course, you will need to max out this player to have access to all of their skills, but that is another useful sort of measure of how good a player can be. You will also notice at the very bottom, you can actually go ahead and filter by price trend. You can set it by weekly, monthly, or seasonal fluctuation. This might be a little bit confusing, but in essence, what you have is if the player is in the red, that means their price has increased during the week because this is set to the weekly fluctuation. So over this week, Brandon Ingram's price has increased by 18.8%. Jamal Murray's has increased by 14.3%. And then on the flip side, if you look at the players in green, Giannis's price has dropped by 10.9%. LaMelo Ball's price has dropped by 10.1%. This again is a very useful way of checking what players are going up in price and what players are going down in price to work out when you should buy them and when you should sell them. Of course, you can set it by weekly, monthly, and of course the seasonal, which is very useful. Also on NBA Infinite's official Discord server, they put out a market report fairly oftenly comparing all of the different servers, the biggest price fallers and the biggest price risers. So that might be something to really help you when it comes to looking at players to buy and when to actually purchase them. I'll leave a link to that Discord server in the description down below. You will also notice you can filter players by their price, position, overall, and all of that stuff to help you really pick what players are going to fit within your budget. You can also do it by player type as well, whether you want an all-around player, an offensive player, defensive player, or even a playmaking player. And of course, you can even do it by attribute, player moves, and of course, player skills as well, all helping you find those players who fit your play style and the way you play the game. If I wanted to say track a player's price over time, I might want to hit the heart icon next to the player itself. For example, Anthony Davis, once I've done that, he will get added to my watch list. I can go on here and he will just be the only card on this because he is on my watch list. Of course, you can add other players to this if you go ahead and do that with Klay Thompson. This will help you keep an eye on those players and just track their price over time. Maybe you want to wait until you can buy them at a lower price to then go ahead and max them out. It is also possible through the market to view every single card in the game. If you just hit on info, you can see this will show me the player at 80 overall. You can look at things such as their stats, of course, their skills as well. And you can also go ahead and compare different players. So if you take Devin Booker and we say compare him to this Klay Thompson, seeing as they're both at the shooting guard, this will take you to this screen where you can go ahead and compare pretty much everything about the player card itself, from their attributes, skills, moves, and even their heat map right at the bottom. You can change what rank they are and what rank you want to compare them at. So let's say, for example, a rank 7 Devin Booker versus a rank 7 Klay Thompson. You can also stop it from matching the ranks by simply hitting change contrasting players rank accordingly, and then you can set them individually. So say a rank 7 Devin Booker versus a rank 3 Klay Thompson. It gives you a really comprehensive view as to what players are better in terms of stats. And again, that could be a factor between you picking a player to buy or not picking a player to buy. So hopefully I've covered absolutely everything when it comes to the market. If I've missed anything, let me know in the comments section down below. Of course, you're not going to make a ton of coins from the market itself just simply buying and selling players. You need to be using things such as the hoop draft. And I do recommend, if you are simply just trying to try out new cards, maybe look towards using the club at the moment where people can offer you players to be able to try out instead instead of just switching between maxed out players, because ultimately you will lose coins because of that 15% tax. But once you've got these guys, you need to master how you actually use them in 3v3 matches. And I've made a massive tips and tricks video to help yourself out in 3v3 gameplay, where I went through things such as the step back shot, timing your rebounds and blocking, and a bunch of other moves. If you want to go check it out, it should be popping up in the bottom left hand corner, and I'll see you guys in that one. Peace.